You lie. Right now, today. You've probably already done it. Not a big one. Maybe something small. I'm fine. That looks great on you. Yeah, I got your message. The average person tells somewhere between 1 and 3 lies every single day. Some studies put it higher, up to 3 lies every 10 minutes in casual conversation. We know lying is wrong. We've known it since we were 5 years old. And we do it anyway, every day, without thinking, almost automatically. But here's the question nobody really wants to answer. What would actually happen if we stopped? Not eventually, not gradually. Tomorrow, all of us, for exactly 24 hours. This is not a fantasy about a better world. This is a scientific thought experiment. The rules are simple. For 24 hours, every human being on Earth is physically incapable of saying anything they know to be false. No white lies, no diplomatic omissions, no polite fictions, only what you actually think, only what you actually know. Sounds liberating. It would be catastrophic. And understanding why tells you something deeply uncomfortable about what lies actually are, and what they're doing for you right now. It starts quietly, 7:14 a.m. You wake up. Your partner asks, "How did you sleep?" You say, "Badly. I've been lying awake worrying about us." You didn't plan to say that, but it's true. Downstairs, your child asks, "Do you like my drawing?" You look at it. You say, "Not really. The colors feel muddy and the proportions are off." Your child stares at you. You walk into the office. Your colleague asks, "How are you?" And instead of "fine," you say whatever is actually true. Maybe that you're tired and slightly resentful about the workload. Maybe that you find these morning check-ins pointless. Maybe something even harder than that. By 9 a.m., 3 relationships in your immediate orbit are under strain. Nothing catastrophic. Just the sudden removal of the social lubricant that holds ordinary life together. Because here's what research shows. The vast majority of everyday lies, roughly 90%, are not malicious. They are social. They are the maintenance work of human connection. They are how we show up in a world that isn't built for brutal honesty. By mid-morning, something larger is happening. In offices, boardrooms, and courtrooms around the world, conversations that normally run on a careful architecture of strategic omission are suddenly different. A CEO on an earnings call is asked, "Are you confident in this quarter's projections?" He opens his mouth and tells the truth. Markets respond within minutes. A politician in an interview is asked, "Do you believe your own policy will work?" She answers honestly. Her press secretary resigns by noon. A lawyer in court is asked to present a case he privately believes is indefensible. He tells the judge. A doctor tells a patient what he actually thinks, not the hopeful version, not the diplomatically softened version. The patient breaks down, then slowly makes a different decision than they would have made. Maybe a better one, maybe not. The financial markets lose 6% in 4 hours. Not because of anything new, because of everything true that people already knew, but had collectively agreed not to say. By afternoon, the real damage is not economic. It's intimate. A couple sitting across from each other at lunch discovers that the version of their relationship they've been describing to friends, and to themselves, is not the version either of them actually experiences. A group of friends realizes that the social dynamic they've maintained for years is built on a network of small agreements. Who we pretend to like, what we pretend to find funny, which topics we pretend not to notice. A parent tells their adult child something they've been holding for 20 years. The child had been waiting for something different. This is not it. Here is what psychologists call the social contract of deception. It's not a conspiracy. It's not weakness. It is the operating system of civilized coexistence. We lie, or we soften truth, or we omit, because we have learned through thousands of years of living together that pure, unfiltered honesty is not a neutral act. It is a weapon that most of us most of the time choose not to use, because we care more about the relationship than about being technically right. The question the thought experiment forces you to ask is, If the choice is removed, what does the relationship actually survive on? Not everything collapses. Some conversations, the ones people had been quietly dreading for months or years, finally happen. Some truths land softly, because the person receiving them had already suspected them. Some relationships, stripped of the protective layer of comfortable fiction, turn out to be stronger underneath. A study by psychologist Anita Kelly found that people who committed to telling no lies for 10 weeks reported significantly fewer mental health complaints, fewer physical health problems, and stronger personal relationships at the end of the period. The cost of lying, it turns out, is not nothing. Every lie requires maintenance. You have to remember it, protect it, build other small lies around it to keep the original one standing. The mental load is real and it is cumulative. Radical honesty, the movement started by psychotherapist Brad Blanton, argues that most human suffering doesn't come from painful truths. It comes from the effort of hiding them. But Blanton's own life after publishing his manifesto of absolute honesty in the 1990s was complicated. His relationships became more intense, and frequently shorter, because there is a difference between honesty as a practice and honesty as a rule with no exceptions. By now, the thought experiment has revealed something uncomfortable. We tend to think of lying as a failure of character, something broken people do, cowards, manipulators, politicians. But the data tells a different story. The most prolific liars in society are not sociopaths. They are people under social stress, people navigating complex hierarchies, managing multiple relationships, trying to keep several versions of their lives from colliding. Interestingly, 5% of the population is responsible for 50% of all lies told. Most people lie very little. A small number lie constantly. And the lies cluster around specific needs. To protect ourselves from judgment. To protect others from pain. To maintain connection in a world where perfect truth is often simply too much for relationships to absorb. Evolutionary psychologists argue that the capacity for deception was not a corruption of human nature. It was an adaptation. A species that could model false beliefs in another mind and use that to survive, outcompeted species that couldn't. Lying is not a glitch, it is a feature. One of the features that built civilization. And our thought experiment is dismantling it in real time. At midnight, it ends. The first lie of the new day comes quickly. Almost everyone tells it without thinking, and then stops, and notices. Because the 24 hours have done something strange. They have made the invisible visible. You now know, in a way you didn't before, how much of your daily life runs on managed truth. How much energy you spend curating what you let out. How many relationships depend on a shared agreement not to look too directly at certain things. How many of your confident, comfortable beliefs about yourself are maintained not by evidence, but by the careful selection of what you allow yourself to hear. Here's what the research actually says about this. Humans are not naturally honest or naturally deceptive. We are naturally strategic. We tell the truth when it serves us. We bend it when it doesn't. And we mostly do both without noticing, because the process runs below conscious awareness. The most dangerous lies are not the ones we tell others. They are the ones we tell ourselves. The internal ones, the ones that say, "I'm fine, this is working, I'll deal with it later. That's just how I am." Those don't disappear on Truth Day, because Truth Day only removes the lies you say out loud. It does nothing about the ones running silently in the background. The philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote that all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Maybe the modern version is simpler. All of our problems stem from our inability to say, clearly to ourselves and to the people we love, "Here is what is actually true." Not the softened version. Not the version that makes the conversation easier. The actual one. Most of us will never have a Truth Day. But you have the next 10 minutes. And one person you haven't been fully honest with. You know who it is. Before we go, one more thought. We just spent 24 hours imagining a world where humans can't hide the truth from each other. where every thought, every fear, every uncomfortable reality has to surface. Now zoom out. Not to the next city. Not to the next country. To the next galaxy. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. It contains somewhere between 200 billion and 2 trillion galaxies. Each galaxy with hundreds of billions of stars. Many of those stars with planets. Many of those planets in the habitable zone. The math is overwhelming. Life should be everywhere. And yet, silence. No signals. No visitors. No traces. Not one confirmed contact in the entire history of human civilization. In 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi sat down at lunch with colleagues at Los Alamos and asked a single question so simple it stopped the conversation cold. Where is everybody? That question became one of the most disturbing unsolved problems in all of science. Not because we don't have answers, but because every answer we've come up with is terrifying in a different way. Some say they're out there, but deliberately silent. Some say they were out there, and something destroyed them. Some say the silence means we are next. And some say the most frightening answer of all is the one that requires no aliens, no catastrophe, no conspiracy. Just math. And what it implies about us. That is next.